Trump is trying to bring trust back into American institutions, and to do that, he says he'll declassify all kinds of things if and when he gets back into office as president. Well, what things? The JFK files for one, the 9/11 files, and maybe the Epstein files, but just maybe.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
So why the hesitation? I don't think I need to say the obvious reason for the hesitation, but I'll say it anyway. It's because he and or his friends are mentioned within those files. And this is just a small snippet, but it's sort of packed with a lot of weird stuff. First, he had absolutely no hesitation when asked about the other two files. Then, he hemmed and hawed over the Epstein files, which already isn't a good look, but the reason he gave for it was ridiculous. He said he didn't want to hurt anyone's reputation. He said, quote, "You don't want to affect people's lives if there's phony stuff in there." Okay, since when has Trump cared about negatively affecting people's lives with phony information? The answer is never. He's always been the guy to say what he wants to say about people and institutions, regardless of whether or not what he's saying has any basis in truth.
It's a very busy store, by the way, and checkout counters and everything else. And I would be in there. I mean, it's the most ridiculous, disgusting story. It was just made up.
You famously said regarding Hillary Clinton, lock her up. You declined to do that as president.
I beat her. It's easier when you win. And they all said lock her up. And I felt, and I could have done it, but I felt it would have been a terrible thing. And then this happened to me.
In a pattern that I think is straight out of a psychology textbook. His response is to accuse everybody else of lying. He accuses everybody on that debate stage of lying. And it's simply a mindless yell. Whatever he does, he accuses everyone else of doing.
But the more irritating thing that he's doing here is something that he actually does a lot. He's telling his supporters that the files are phony before they've even been released, so that if and when they are made public, and if and when he's found to be incriminated within them, his supporters will already know not to believe the revelations within them, especially nothing pertaining to Trump or any of the other MAGA elites. Prevention is always better than a cure, right? If his base knows not to believe something before they even know what they're not supposed to believe, he doesn't have to defend himself after the fact. They won't ask him to, nor will they need him to. I mean, they've already seen the photos and videos of Trump with Epstein, and those don't seem to bother them. They just tell themselves what they need to in order to feel better about themselves, in order to maintain this belief system that they've invested their entire personalities into. They tell themselves that Trump was only with Epstein so that he can learn all the ways of that world, a world that Trump, judging from the Fox News clip, seems to know quite a bit about. They tell themselves that the only reason why he was in that world was so that he can learn how to destroy it and everyone in it. Sure, Jan. Anyway, he employed the same tactic most recently with the New York fraud trial when he told his supporters that if he's found guilty, it'll be because the Dems are out to get him, not because of the mountain of evidence that was presented against him throughout the whole course of the trial. And inevitably, once he was found guilty, his supporters defended him, saying that he was a victim of a witch hunt and that he's a martyr for the MAGA cause. Trump being found guilty of crimes that he actually committed is somehow, in their minds, Joe Biden's fault. He told his supporters that if and when he lost or loses his presidential elections, it'll be because of widespread rampant voter fraud that he to this day has never managed to prove was happening. But it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to prove anything because his supporters believe any and everything he says. They don't need to see the evidence. Evidence is for suckers who don't have faith. Interestingly, Trump did not seem inclined to offer any of these caveats or considerations for the JFK or the 9/11 files. Those files are apparently 100% not phony at all. And there are still people living today who were involved in those cases, whose lives could be negatively impacted by those files if they were made public. And he doesn't seem to care about any of them, probably because he wasn't involved in either of those cases or incidents himself. However, he does strangely try to insert himself into narratives, doesn't he? On 9/11, he claimed to have helped the firefighters. There's no way that he did that. And he also said that Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK, which I guess is not phony information that could negatively impact someone's life. Okay, I'm going to end it right there before I find myself in a position where I'm somehow defending Ted Cruz. So that is it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my podcast, Modern Context. Thanks.